Hi, welcome back to my channel, La Casa de Katie, and happy 2020! It's a new year, which means we get a fresh start and we get to set new goals and also look back on the last year and think about what we've learned. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of my reflections and my biggest lessons that I learned in 2019, and I'm also going to share my focus word for 2020. This year I chose to do a focus word and not a resolution because I think it just gives you a little bit more flexibility, which really ties into the lesson I learned in 2019. So without further ado, let's jump in. So if you watched my video about adopting our daughter from foster care, you know that 2019 was a really big year for our family. We went from being a childless couple who'd been married for almost 6 years to all of a sudden having a toddler in our home, which was a huge adjustment. So obviously in 2019, both my husband and I learned a lot about parenting, but I learned a lot of deeper lessons as well that affect more aspects of my life than just being a parent. So for me in 2019, the biggest lesson that I learned was about all or nothing thinking. So if you aren't familiar with all or nothing thinking, basically what that means is you're either going to be 100% on board and 100% pursuing something, or you're going to give up completely. And I have struggled with that for most of my life. Another way of wording it is just perfectionism, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, although perfectionism plays a huge part. So for example, if I couldn't do something absolutely perfect, I would just stop. Or if I was pursuing a goal and I messed up one time, I would tell myself, well, looks like you can't do it because you messed up one time, so you might as well quit. As you can imagine, this is a really bad habit to have, and it can really keep you back, and it has definitely held me back for a long time. So 2019 was a year where I really learned a lot about my own all or nothing thinking. I became aware of it, and I was also able to change some of those habits. Some of the areas of my life in which I would practice all or nothing thinking were my spiritual life, my eating and exercise habits, my financial habits sometimes, my creative pursuits. It was really permeating almost every area, and it was causing a lot of problems for me. So first of all, in my spiritual walk, all or nothing thinking has been really damaging for me. It's really kept me kind of at an arm's length from God and hasn't allowed me to grow that relationship as much as I would have liked to. So in my spiritual life, I really struggled with this because oftentimes what I would do is I would tell myself, okay, every day I'm going to sit down, I'm going to read my Bible for this long, and I'm going to pray for this long about these different categories. And while that's a great thing, the problem is that I was setting these really hard and fast rules for myself that oftentimes were not actually attainable. So we all know that sometimes there are days where you forget to read your Bible, or you forget to pray, or you're just in a bad mood and you're not running to God with your problems like you should. And so what would happen is those days would come, and instead of just picking up the next day, I would start to tell myself this narrative that I was too far gone, it had been too long, I might as well just not keep going and not read my Bible again, because if I couldn't be perfect, I just couldn't do it. Which is just so ridiculous, and it's such a lie. Just because there are times where I couldn't read my Bible every day, or I chose not to, doesn't mean that the times I do are any less meaningful. Now obviously I think daily Bible reading and praying is really important, but I'm never going to be perfect on this earth, and so I need to just keep pushing and pushing and going no matter what. Even if I have an off day, it doesn't mean I'm totally sabotaged. The second area of my life that I really saw this was in parenting. So obviously, like I said, this was a really big year, the first year I've been a parent, and 2019 was pretty much the year of becoming a parent for me. I'm the type of person who likes to be prepared. I like to read a lot, I like to ask questions, I like to feel like I am really equipped to do something that I am pursuing, and so it was no different with parenthood. I read all the books, I asked questions, we went to a support group with our adoption agency. I wanted to be prepared. And I think even though I would not have worded it this way, I was trying to be the perfect mother, which is ridiculous because if you're a parent, you know that's impossible. You're always going to mess up, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have regrets, and you can't expect yourself to be perfect. So what would happen is that I would kind of tell myself that if I couldn't parent perfectly, then I was a horrible parent and nothing I did was right. And as you can imagine, that puts you in some pretty deep and dark valleys. And I definitely was going through that, especially I would say not long after our daughter first moved into our house, I was telling myself all the time that I was a horrible parent and I wasn't anything like I thought I was going to be. And a lot of that is because I had this perfect vision in my mind of the type of mom I would be, and I couldn't even measure up to my own expectations. So that all or nothing thinking really caused a lot of problems for me in those first few months of parenting. And I was in a pretty dark place, and it really took a lot of grace with myself and realizing God's grace with me and the way that I try to show that to my daughter, and realizing that I don't have to be perfect right away. And that showing my daughter that I make mistakes and can apologize for them can even show her that she's allowed to make mistakes too, and that you can recover from mistakes and you don't have to expect yourself to be perfect all the time. Because the reality is, we will never be perfect. The only one that's perfect is God. And so for me to be remembering that was really helpful in helping me get out of that. And I actually do plan on making a video about post-adoption depression or post-adoption blues, because I think that plays a huge role in it, and a lot of adoptive parents go through that struggle. Another category in my life where I have really struggled with all or nothing thinking is in regards to my health. So I am not like this super big person in terms of like exercising and like eating salads all the time and all of that, but I do try to make healthy choices. And what was happening is oftentimes I was either going 100% trying to be as healthy as possible, or I was just running the complete opposite direction and just being like, oh, whatever, we can eat out as much as we want, or we can eat as much dessert as we want because we're never going to be perfect anyway. And neither one of those mentalities were helpful for me. And usually what would happen is, even if I was 100% committed, I would end up quitting because like with my Bible reading, I would have an off day. I would have a day where I didn't feel good and I couldn't do my exercise, or a day where we were just so tired and ran out of time and had to order pizza. And instead of viewing that as like a blip on the radar, I viewed that as, well, we totally messed up. We might as well just quit. We might as well just give up on these healthier habits we've had. So this year I just really learned about making small changes and committing to small goals instead of setting this huge goal that all of a sudden I'm going to be a different person and I'm going to go from 0 to 100 in a couple of seconds. That's just not the reality. And being able to stick to these small changes that were very accomplishable have helped me just kind of build better habits slowly over the course of the year. And honestly, that's not something that's stopping in 2020. I'm still adding on those little things that I'm able to stick to the goals that I set. It's been very maintainable for me, and it's just really changed my attitude about that. The last category where all or nothing thinking has been really damaging to me in the past is in my creative endeavors. So whether it's my blog or my YouTube channel or any other creative thing I've pursued in the past, all or nothing thinking has gotten in my way so many times. For example, with my blog, sometimes I feel like if I cannot write the perfect blog post and it's the most polished and the most beautifully written, then what's even the point of writing it? And so what I did for years is I walked away from my old blogs because I felt like I wasn't measuring up to this perfect vision of what a blogger was going to be like. And that has really kept me back, because now I've just committed to showing up even if it's not the best. And I have so much more momentum than I did ever in the past. And honestly, I'm still walking through this with YouTube. I am very new to YouTube, and it's scary to make a video and to know that I don't know a ton about cameras right now. I'm learning. But if I just wait until I figure out everything, I'm never gonna get anywhere. I can't expect to have the most perfect videos, the most perfect content right away. I'm learning. And what I'm committing to is to showing up each week, no matter what, even if I have to reshoot a video because it doesn't turn out well, even if it means that what I post isn't going to be the best content on YouTube and isn't going to get the most likes or the most subscribers. It's something I enjoy doing, and so I want to just be willing to show up and do that, even if it's not perfect. A year ago, I do not think I would be willing to do this. This, to me, that I'm even sitting and doing this, is showing a lot of personal growth, because I know this video won't be perfect, but I'm gonna post it anyway. It's hard to really summarize how I learned this lesson. I think it was a lot of different things. And honestly, it took a lot of failure to get to this point. It took a lot of accepting that I'm never going to be perfect, and no one else I'm comparing myself to is perfect either. And just being willing to let go of the pressure that I'm putting on myself and just accept where I am now. And what's beautiful about this to me as a Christian is that I know that God accepts me as I am because He is making me perfect. He will make me perfect, and it's not relying on me to do everything right. Obviously, I'm going to work my hardest every day, and I'm going to pursue a relationship with God and ask Him to change me, but I'm not going to expect that I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to accept that God's perfection is enough, and if I lean into that, that is all I need. So for me, that thought has been really freeing and has helped to remind me that it's not all on me. And there are times where I slip back into this mindset and I tell myself, oh, you messed up, so you might as well quit, or you might as well stop what you're doing. And I actually have to stop and tell myself, like, no, one off day does not mean you have to quit. One mistake does not mean that you have to completely run the opposite direction and drop any dream or any progress you've made. You've still made the progress you've made despite any backtracking. And that has been really helpful for me in continuing on this journey of just banishing that all or nothing thinking. And I know this is something I will still have to work on in this coming year, and something I'll have to always be aware of in my own mind, because I still have those thoughts daily, especially as someone who's creating on YouTube and creating on a blog. Those thoughts are going to creep in. But I'm willing to stop and remind myself of the truth, because I know that that all or nothing thinking has really held me back. So after all those lessons from 2019, it was really obvious to me what word I was going to choose for 2020. I have actually never chosen a word of the year before. I used to make resolutions a lot, but they weren't something that I felt like were very maintainable, or once again, I would get caught up in that all or nothing thinking. If I can't meet this resolution perfectly, I might as well quit after January. And so I really liked the idea of doing a focus word of the year. And this word just kind of came to my mind a couple of months ago, and I knew that was going to be the word. And the word is steadfast. I have a definition that I kind of pieced together for the word steadfast, and it is the definition that I want to live out this year. And it says, not changing or losing purpose, unwavering, firm in belief and determination. And that is what I would like to live out this year. So for me, steadfast means not being perfect, but being willing to commit to something and stick with it, even when it gets difficult, even when it would feel easier to just quit and walk the other direction, to keep showing up and keep doing the things we say we're going to do. If you don't know, I'm an Enneagram Type 4. I know some people are really into the Enneagram right now, and people with my personality type really struggle not to just follow our emotions all the time. We have a lot of feelings, we feel them very deeply, and it's very easy to let emotions dictate decisions, what we do day to day. This has definitely been true for me in my life, and I do think that those emotions have kind of added into that all or nothing thinking. And so this year I want to work on not fighting my emotions, but being willing to follow what I say I'm going to do or what is the right thing to do, instead of just following my feelings all the time. God is mentioned as steadfast a lot in the Bible, and He is someone who is never changing. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and forever. And there's something so comforting about knowing that God's not going to just change randomly at the drop of a hat. He's going to stay the same. And so I would like to be able to do that in my life as well, and try to be steadfast and not just letting each emotion dictate where I'm going, but letting what's true dictate where I'm going. By the end of 2020, I hope that I can look back on this year and see that I learned to be more steadfast. And I want to see growth in these categories, not perfection, because obviously that would contradict what I learned in 2019. So the 3 categories I would like to see growth in are, first of all, reading my Bible and praying. That is something I would like to show more steadfastness in, and not just deciding to do it when I feel like it or basing it off my emotions, but basing it off of the fact that I know it's good for me, I know it's life-giving, and I never regret it. So not letting little things get in the way of that as much. The second one I would like to work on, again, is healthy habits. So eating healthy, exercising, and for me a big one is just creating my family's meal plan for the week and just sticking to it. I cannot tell you how easy it is for me to make this really detailed meal plan, and then when the day comes, just be like, but I don't really feel like having that. So I know that that's just something I need to work on. So this year I would really just like to see some growth in being willing to just stick with a plan and follow it no matter how I feel. And the last category directly affects this YouTube channel and affects my blog as well, which is pursuing things that I feel like God is calling me to wholeheartedly and showing up even when I cannot be perfect at it. So in order to show my commitment to this idea of being more steadfast, I am going to be doing a recap at the end of each month on my vlog and my blog, just talking about my steadfast journey for that month. Part of this is just to keep myself accountable, because I know if I'm going to be writing or vlogging about it, I will want to be more honest with myself about how I'm doing. But the other reason is because I think it's really important to show the process of getting to a goal. Because as we all know, it's messy when you're trying to achieve goals. You don't do things perfectly, you make a lot of mistakes, and so I want to make sure that I am sharing that process with you, because it's not going to be an easy journey. I know for a fact that I'm going to fall, I'm going to fail, and I'm going to have to get back up and keep going. So this will motivate me to keep going, and I also hope it will motivate you to keep pursuing whatever goals you are doing, even when you mess up. Because if there's anything I learned from 2019, you have to keep going when you mess up or you will make no progress. So there you have it. That is my reflection on 2019 and also my goals for 2020. I hope that you found this video helpful or inspiring. If so, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you like content like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This month I will be doing some videos about my Enneagram type, if that interests you, and also a few more adoption videos. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you are off to a great start in 2020.